Well, good morning to you. What is it today? Thursday, 21st of September 2029. And yeah, I'm in no rush to do anything much this morning because it's raining. So I won't be working in the garden. And yeah, we'll find plenty to do, but it won't involve too much outdoor stuff. First job of the day, I do need to go to the shops. And it may fairly be said that this is actually fairly gentle rain and very welcome. Right, all the Catholics amongst you, get ready to cross yourself, because as we leave the town, we go past the Calvaire. And this is a hangover from times long past. Most small towns, villages here will have what we call here a Calvaire. Some of you might call it a Calvary, some of you will call it a crucifix. But, you know, a cross, normally a crucifix with a statue of the body of Christ on it. And yeah, it's a sort of Catholic thing that when you see a crucifix, you cross yourself, you know, give yourself a little blessing. I know that's not, it's not a general practice anymore, and certainly there are some denominations that simply don't do that. But for me, you know, it just reminds us of where our focus should be. You know, we might complain about the rain. Oh, you know, it's raining, you know, I'm going to get wet. Well, if you focus on the sacrifice on the cross, you know, how serious is it getting a little rain on our head? Anyway, you know where we are now. We're trundling down the road. We're going to go through Martizay down to Creuse. See what else the day brings us. Well, have you ever noticed how when you create a workspace, somehow it just sort of fills up, doesn't it? There's probably one of those Murphy's laws that explains that. But, you know, we are making some sense out of this jigsaw puzzle. These are the pieces of ironwork that have come off of the charrette. Not even all of them yet. Some did get a quick dust over and a bit of paint on. Most still need cleaning down and spraying up. But some interesting pieces of metal. You know, this thing, this ugly looking hook. Right, ugly, I guess some people say it's beautifully made. That goes on the inside at the back of the charrette for a chain that then goes to another little hook on the tailgate. This is a piece from the front. It's a lamp bracket, and a carriage lamp goes in there. There's the other one there that still needs doing. These are the front footsteps. The rear footsteps at the moment are underneath the bench. These bits of bent wrought iron, these give the shape for what we might think of as mud guards. Yeah, lots and lots of different bits. Found a place to put the... Now, I've heard this called different things. We'll stick with capo or capot for now. Yeah, that's out of the way. That, when I get to it, that's going to be quite a project all on its own, because the wooden pieces need remanufacturing. The metal work needs taking off and, well, cleaning, making beautiful. But that is way off in the future, so I thought I would just simply make a couple of brackets out of old packing crates, nail them to the wall, get that up out of the way. And I thought, well, we'd put a board up that I can put the tools that I'm going to be using specifically on this job. Yeah, interesting stuff. I think it's interesting. Some people think it's scrap iron. And while I was raking through bits and pieces to hang on my tool wall, one of the things I pulled out of the bag that came from England with me, so we don't need to explain what it's doing in France, is this delightful little spanner. It's stamped, let's get the light on that, 3/16 wit and quarter width. And the maker's name on it is Garrington. It has a brand name on it of Magpie and some other numbers stamped in it, which I don't know what they stand for, but I needed to sit down and have a cup of tea. I know that's a shock, but you know. And while I was at it, I just thought, well, let's see what we can find out about this little spanner. And what we find is John Garrington and Sons was founded in 1837 in London as a company producing iron and steel tools, pistols, coach parts, military harness, nuts and bolts. 1879, business moved to Albert Works in Willenhall Road. 1912, the business was sold to F.W. Cotterill. In 1919, it was purchased by GKN, originally Guest Keenan Nettlefolds. Now, in my childhood, Nettlefolds was the only type of screws that my dad would ever buy. 1926, producing drop-forged automobile tools, spanners, and in 1947, lightweight, high-tensile carbon steel Magpie automobile spanners. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Oddly, the information for this comes from an Australian museum that has one in their collection just as a tool, typical of tools used by motor mechanics. But there we are, that's an old spanner. Now, some tools I would categorise as Christmas present tools. You know, what are we going to get Dad, Grandad, Uncle Bob, whatever? Oh, he likes tools. And well-meaning people look in strange catalogues and they buy tools. Now, I don't know who made this. I know this has got a patent applied for it. And I rather regret looking at it, to be honest. You might say, well, it's a screwdriver. Well, it is, yes. And it's got a ratchet and it's got a collet chuck and it's... yeah. And if we... yeah. Try doing that left-handed, holding the camera with the other hand. If we take this out, this is when you get to regret opening it. Because what we've got is an interesting collection of bits. Now, why I regret opening it is everything was in it. I opened it, took everything out, and I put everything back in so that I could show you me opening it, except for those two. Try as I might, I could not get everything back in there. And what have we got? Well, we've got a little flat blade screwdriver, we've got a sort of hole-makey sort of thing, we've got, I'm going to say, a cross blade screwdriver because I get in trouble with the difference between posi drive and Phillips and all that sort of thing, and a smaller one, another flat blade, and a hex for driving these sockets. And I'm trying to see in the light what this socket says it is. Ah, 7mm, so it's a metric. Is it metric? Yes. Oh, 8mm or 5/16. And we've got a funny thing for presumably poking holes in people you don't like, or making holes in leather belts or something. I held it in my hand, and as handles go, that's completely the wrong shape. And of course we've got a little collet chuck that we can pop bits in and tighten up, and yeah, interesting thing. Not sure I'm going to find much use for that. Now I'm going to spend the rest of the day trying to get all of those bits back in there. I know they fit because they came out. Well, there we are. I did manage to get them all in. Yeah, that handle just is as awkward. Yeah, I won't throw it away, but I can't say that I'm going to be enjoying using that too much. So if Uncle Bob or Cousin Stan likes tools and you see one of these in a catalogue, I wouldn't recommend buying it.